Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you've had a great week. I had a great weekend. My daughter has committed to college. I am so excited for her. She is Bloomington bound. She's going to be a Hoosier, and it is where she has wanted to go since we first visited when she was in 10th grade. So she's very, very excited. And so I'm very excited for her and tear up just a little bit every day, but so excited for her that kind of outweighs how sad I am. And what's really exciting is she is thinking about potentially, probably going into the world of social media as well, which is really, really exciting for me. While I deal with a smaller business and clients on different scales, she wants to work for a big company, move to a big city. And so it's going to be really exciting to watch her journey and see what she does. So stay tuned, because I will definitely be posting about her. But today, I'm very excited. I have one of my Twitter friends joining me. Jennifer Mcginley is joining us from Baltimore this morning. And we just got on and started talking. We've never actually met before now and found out we have so much in common. So that's really pretty fascinating. So I'm going to read her bio, and then I'm going to bring Jennifer on. She is the founder of Jlm Strategic Communications, which was established in 2017 and based in Maryland. Her company specializes in media relations, community outreach, and reputation management in healthcare and education. As a PR professional for over 25 years, Jennifer has built a reputation based on integrity, credibility, professionalism, attention to details, and consistency. Prior to founding her company, Jennifer worked in the nonprofit healthcare industry in the Philadelphia area before moving to Baltimore, where she worked at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and School of Pharmacy in public affairs, development, and alumni relations. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Jennifer Mcginley to the show. Yay, welcome. And I forgot to ask you when I brought you on, do you go by Jen or by Jennifer?
Jennifer.
Yeah. Okay, good. I don't want to call you the wrong name. And then to okay. Well, I'm so glad that you're here, Jennifer. And I'm glad that we got on early and got the chance to talk. We have so much in common that we didn't even know. And I feel like we know each other pretty well on a work level, but here you are. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, good. So I know I read your official bio, but why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you got here?
Yeah, right in college, I studied English literature and French, but I did a lot of work on campus in fundraising and public relations, and really loved writing and the thought of journalism and going into broadcast journalism. So I made sure internships really met those needs as well. And they did. And literally right out of college, I got a job offer to work at a hospital in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And it was a community hospital. I stayed there for 3 years. And it was because of the woman that I was working with. She, at the time, was an anchor woman for CBS in Philadelphia. And so I felt very fortunate to land something so special. It was a legit job with health benefits and vacation time. So when you're a graduating senior in college, this was pretty amazing. And that was the trajectory of really loving healthcare and realizing that it's about the well-being of human beings, and the environment was so welcoming and interesting. I'd always loved research, the curiosity about different issues of the human body were interesting to me. My first 2 press releases were estrogen replacement therapy and carpal tunnel syndrome. So within a couple of weeks of being hired, I was literally meeting with physicians to talk about the research and the latest developments in those 2 issues. And then it was a couple PR agencies in the Philadelphia area, and then a mental health hospital. And then I moved to Maryland when I got married. So, and then, like you said in the bio, the work after that. And I really love healthcare and education. And I'm glad that I've been able to work for organizations and now own my own company and, consult with such amazing organizations as well.
That's amazing. And we talked about, we both kind of come from this healthcare world because of our husbands. And mine is less related to my work life. Although I have worked with some healthcare people, I'm very picky when I work with anyone in the healthcare world. I shy away from it because I'm afraid anything we could put out on social could be misconstrued as medical advice. I am not a doctor, and I'm the most squeamish person you've ever met. So if he ever came home and said, "Oh, I got to tell you about this bloody story," no, I'm not. No, tell somebody else. So I'm always very squeamish about that. So I kind of focus more, if we get a doctor who's interested in help with their social, we're focused more on people who want to focus on themselves, on giving good information, but they're trying to kind of propel their career into, I'll say, stardom or local stardom kind of thing, rather than sort of focused on the medicine, just because I'm hesitant. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about being the marketer who's not in the medical profession, but speaks to it? Do you find it to be a challenge?
I think I've been spoiled because I've worked inside a medical school, a pharmacy school, and hospitals. So they were already vetted, so to speak, for me. And I've read tons of, CVs, curriculum vitae, or resumes, as we would say. So I always look at their background and their experience, and I Google people before I meet them. I've made mistakes. I haven't worked with physicians except for, healthcare organizations since I've opened my own business. So, and now I'm working with a behavioral health hospital, and I adore them. And it was word of mouth. It was, full disclosure, somebody I had worked with before moving to the Maryland area. So I think the same goes for the vetting process and making sure they're legitimate in their own right, and also their intention.
Yeah.
Why? It's the who, what, where, when, why, and how of everything. So, in using your gut and intuition, because I found I call it the Diva Effect, that once I get some, especially broadcast media placements, whether it's, live TV, it affects people. It's kind of exciting. And I find it exciting too, but my intention is different. My intention of getting a healthcare expert in the news is to serve that audience. It's to bring important information to that media outlet. That's legitimate. That is stats and data and the credibility level. I recently was very lucky and landed a placement in US News and World Report with a trauma expert, and she is on the faculty at Yale. So I say I'm spoiled because somebody, it was a connection, and I adored working with them, this group. And so it's really the vetting. It's looking deeper and making sure that they have a good heart to do this work. And that's why I love healthcare. I think it's the compassion, it's the research that they're doing. I think right now, with all the scrutinizing and that kind of microscopic view of those that are in healthcare, they need to work harder to bring about the credibility level. But I've worked with doctors, I've worked with medical students, pharmacy students, I've walked the hallways, I've sat in labs for hours and seen the research done. And I find them to be more of a celebrity than the regular celebrities out of Hollywood or LA.
Right.
I value them so much, and I find them
Absolutely.
so just exciting, and I love the work they're doing. And it's about the data, the stats, the science.
Yeah. And that's incredible to be that passionate about the people and the topics that you're working with. I know that, that where we are kind of different is I focus just on social. And I know you do some management of social, but then also bigger picture, strategy, PR. How do you kind of balance all of that? And for those watching who are thinking, oh, I need to incorporate social, but also PR, but also a marketing plan and also advertising. Sometimes I'll get phone calls from people who want me to do everything. And that's not what I do. I stay in this one very narrow lane, whereas you have sort of broader experience. So I'm curious how people can take that and replicate that if they're a small business owner.
Right. I think it depends on the goal of the organization, their purpose, their mission, their values. Where do they truly need to be to find that ideal client or engage with that audience? And then you can kind of work backwards, because if you're brand new, I always tell everybody, you need to have a social media presence. You need to have a bio and a headshot and get that website up there, even if it's not perfect. It's checking all those boxes, But if you're an expert in your field already and are now starting a new business on your own, like I have previously, it's a lot to take in and a lot to digest. So start slowly. I always say to clients, go local first. Get that one piece in your local paper or a local TV station, and that helps to start the momentum and the traction. So go local first, and also don't forget about reaching out to your college, your alumni office to get an article done, perhaps, or a blurb on your business or something that you're working on. Imagine how many thousands of people
Right.
you're going to reach quickly. It's getting out there. It's being very brave and putting yourself out there to be scrutinized, so.
Absolutely. And, especially with doctors, not as much healthcare facilities, but more doctors individually, if they want to get out there and be seen as the expert in their field, then that content they have to be building that footprint. And so PR ties into that with placement in different journals and interviews, even local news. Those kinds of stories are really what can help put a person on the map. But I always caution them, be very careful that you're not saying anything that sounds like medical advice. You can't answer a medical question on Twitter. Cannot do that.
Exactly. And I think, and then again, rolling backwards, if they're just going to get into it, you need to make sure that all of your messaging and your bio and your information, talking points, you have all those drafted. Because what I do, I've had a great success with Haro or helpareporterout.com. You're getting, that's a free service. You're getting, media opportunities 3 times a day, 5 days a week. You can do it yourself. Absolutely. But make sure that all that information that you're going to be presenting has been approved. And, working inside a medical school, that's where that approval process and the red tape does save you, because we're all working together. It can be a laborious process sometimes, all those approvals, you wait a week or two to get something out, but then we feel good because we've all looked at it. It's been approved by, the dean or other leadership and administration, so to speak. So that's a great safety net. But if you're going out on your own, do everything ahead of time. Get a great template or a first, kind of first draft of everything.
Yeah, that's good advice. So you mentioned bureaucracy, and I know you came from corporations and nonprofits and the healthcare industry, and then went out on your own. So, here we are, we're both working from home. We both have been doing this. You were talking about what it was like having little kids, and we had to work. Now our kids are off to college. So talk a little bit about that. What was sort of the impetus for, I'm going to start my own agency. I'm going to go out on my own, and sort of how you felt about it then and how you feel about it now.
Yeah, it was never on my radar to do this, I'll tell you. But, with the work that my husband does, and my kids needed me, and it was just something that I think I had been so fortunate to have very caring bosses or supervisors. And then as it got further, we didn't have any family living near us, a couple hours away. So that changed things too. I remember getting an amazing job working full-time downtown on campus, and all of my emergency contacts were busy. And I had to go get my son, and I was finally getting the opportunity to take a potential donor on a tour of, the school. And it kind of hit me at that moment that, what, I can't do this all in full time yet, and travel and demanding hours. I am a recovering perfectionist, and I love to work. I can be a little bit of a workaholic sometimes and stay late. And that's, those early morning hours and late nights or weekends. When I first started working, I loved it. And I could really excel quickly. But when you become a parent, you have a different view on things and a different priority. And my kids needed me. So that is, I had finished up another job downtown right before I started, and I adored them, and they were so kind and so respectful. But a friend of mine said, I was, helping her one night FaceTime. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to the White House to do work on some legislation. Do you think you can help me with talking points?" I'm like, "Sure." I said, "Get the kids settled. I'll go to my basement. We'll FaceTime each other. I'll walk you through." And she's like, "Why don't you do this for other people?" And I'm like, "I don't have time besides the job I'm doing now,
Right.
to do it." So I kind of thought about it, and my husband was really supportive and patient because I, had this, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'll get everything set up. I'll network. I'll have a whole list of potential clients." 2 weeks before I went out on my own, everything fell apart. And I was like, "Oh crap, this is not going to work. How am I going to do this?" So it's, you need to be very resilient. You need to be very patient. There are times that I'm not patient. I just want everything to be a well-oiled machine. I want the money to be coming in. I want to be a contributor to my family's, expenses and income. And once I kind of took a deep breath and just went with my gut in terms of how I'd always done things inside an organization, I hired an amazing business coach to help, with not only connections, but also the way to run a business appropriately and properly, to run a profit, which I now am. I'm very grateful. It's, yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's not
Yeah.
anything I would have expected, but it's like the best and worst of everything. But I have the flexibility that I can work early mornings and nights and weekends and take care of everybody. And we've had some health issues in our family that I'm very grateful that I have done it, because and also with COVID too, it's been a game changer. And so the people that I work with, I'm very honest and transparent about the way my life is and what I'm going to give. I'm always going to give 110%. I will get the work done. I keep my promises. I keep my word. And that's when I say, being in public relations, that honest transparency, loyalty, ethics and values, that's non-negotiable. And on either side of the relationships that I have professionally and personally.
Yeah, and we have that in common. I've told my clients, you might not hear from me for a few hours in the middle of the day, but I'm going to be up at 10 getting it done, or I'll be up at 5, or I'll be doing it on Saturday. So,
yeah.
That's just kind of how our flexible life has to work. We have to get the work done, but we're also moms. I always say women can do it all, but they can't do it all at the same time.
Exactly.
The work product on both sides will be bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I love working. I love being, contributing to my family, using my brain, doing the work that I love to make this world literally a better place. And I think right now it's really needed, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, I can't thank you enough. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I am so happy to know you face to face now and not just on Twitter, because we have so much in common. So
I know. I'm excited about that.
This is great. So I'll see you back out there on Twitter.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for being my guest today and for bringing your knowledge and expertise to so many people out there who watch the show, the live stream, and it's really good information. So thank you.
Thank you.
And to everyone else, I don't have a show next week. I've got something going on, but I will be back on the 14th. My guest will be Dr. Deb Collins Lind, and she runs a group online for people who have suffered from PTSD. And so we're going to talk about what it's taken to get that group going and how those people are so committed to it, and really what she does for that community. So I'm very excited to see her, and I will see you all on the 14th. And until then, keep it real, and hey, go Hoosiers. I guess we're a Hoosier family now. So see you soon. Have a great week.